Copy.
Hello. Good morning. Hello, my name's Eliot.
Good morning, Lev here. Can you hear me? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Can you hear me now?
Hello, good morning, Francisco. Hello. Okay.
Well, Nuno.
Hello, good morning. I'm Nuno.
Oh, it's like with a delay, I guess.
I'm Nuno.
Good morning. It is 11 o'clock and time for Hora Convidados. This event was brought by ESTA Portugal and is part of the second festival Arcada in Braga. We are presently in the beautiful Biscaynes Museum, and I'm very excited to moderate this roundtable. We have three fantastic guests that I would like to present to you. Francisco Lima Santos, one of the most brilliant Portuguese violinists of our generation and concertmaster of the Gulbenkian Orchestra in Lisbon. Francisco, may I ask you to tell something about yourself?
First of all, thank you very much for the compliment. Good morning. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Francisco Lima Santos. I started to play the violin when I was 9. Well, speaking directly about the music career, because I think it matters the most here. I started to study in Fundação Musical dos Amigos das Crianças, a school in Lisbon. Only music there, and I was doing the complete school elsewhere until I was 18, and I was still in doubt if to play violin or not, because it really hit me quite late. When I was about 15, 16, I really started to like to practice and to love music and to, think maybe this is what I want to do, because my parents are not musicians. I always listened music as an amateur part in our lives. We are quite a big family. We always had music at home, but it was not. No one is professional in my family, so. And my parents are in very different areas. They love music. But at that age, it started to give a click. I started to feel that I have some talent for it, and I inscribed to Escola Superior de Música in Lisbon. At the same time, I entered also in biology, which was the other possibility, but also a little bit by my parents' force. But in the end, I didn't went to one lesson, because when I started with 18 in the university, I knew I'm very late, so I need to practice, and doing something else was not an option. Then I did 3 years there, bachelor, and I went to Brussels, where I continued, and it was very good for me. I studied for 2 years with the Japanese teacher, Yuzuko Origome, and it helped me very much in all aspects, technically and growing up as a musician. Then I finished my master, and I was still wanting to study. I thought I'm not still ready for the professional life, and I decided to stop for 1 year, and I was meeting many teachers, going to Amsterdam, to Germany, to many places, and I ended up doing audition for Reina Sofia in Madrid. And this is where I finished my studies. I studied for 2.5 years with Anna Chumachenko, which was kind of a dream when I did my teacher's research at the beginning, and it ended up well, and it was a very amazing time for my progress. And that's about it. Then I decided to get married, so I wanted to find a job quite fast. And I was 24, 25, and appeared some audition in Madrid. I did, and didn't go well, and the next audition appeared in Gulbenkian, and I thought, why not come back home? I thought maybe it's not so probable yet, but I will try my best, and now it's where I live for 6 years, and it's my home, and it has been very amazing to work there, and I have great colleagues, and it's a super institution to work. I'm quite happy.
Francisco, this is a wonderful life story because you started at 8, and let's say on European level, it's already quite late for a violinist. And then it's only when you were 16 that you decided, yes, I really want to go for it. And then even when you were 18, you still said, okay, no, I'm going to do a second, 2 studies at the same time. But okay, you discovered very early that it was not really what you wanted. So, and now you have a dream job. Maybe you really wanted this job because you realized that getting married is very expensive.
Especially nowadays.
but it's wonderful that, you know, even though you were late with everything, you still achieved what many would call a dream job and a dream life. Well, I don't know your personal life, but you seem very happy. So I think it's very important that, you know, miracles do happen.
Yeah. Hard work and hopeful a little luck in the right moments.
Absolutely. Our next guest, Lev Adamov. Well, one of the most complete violinists that I know, playing solo, chamber music, being principal of orchestras and ensembles as well, and also being a collectioner of beautiful violins and bows. They're all there on the table. Well, you can't see them. Maybe, Lev, you'd like to play a note on one of these violins? Maybe a bit later. And he's going to be my partner in crime for tonight's concert. Yes, he does it all. Lev, anything else you would like to add?
Oh, that was a beautiful biography, Eliot. Thank you. So, on to Nuno. No, I'm really happy to be here in this beautiful place. I've been to Braga already a few times, and actually every time I'm more and more impressed with how it's developed and how many beautiful museums and churches you have. And at this moment, a blossoming festival, which I'm happy to be a part of. I was just a mini biography. I was born in St. Petersburg, Russia, but immigrated to America. Maybe that's why I have a bit of an American accent. But when I was 18, I thought, oh, I also wanted to study 2 things, violin and, you know, some science or something on the side. But I thought before that, I should really focus on violin only. Take a year in Europe, you know, study with a teacher that I knew since my childhood. And, you know, that 1 year turned into 2 years, into 4 years. So finally I finished conservatory in Holland. And afterwards ended up working in Amsterdam with different orchestras, and then moved to New York, where my first son was born. And after New York, New York, people think that New York is the center of the world, but actually it is in Belgium, in Antwerp.
Well, actually, I thought it was in Braga, but okay.
It's always moving, so I guess no. But there used to be a historical boat connection between Antwerp and New York. So I guess I had to choose between one of the destinations, and I ended up in Antwerp. And I've been. One of the main reasons I went to New York was because I was doing kind of what I knew best, which was the traditional classical music, playing in orchestras. I had a really nice time playing in the Netherlands Chamber Orchestra, Netherlands Philharmonic, and the Netherlands Opera, which were all connected. So you could, I had some nice variety. But after a couple of years of that, I was still maybe 23, 24. And I thought this is becoming too comfortable. I want to challenge myself. I want to try other things. What is there? So for me, it was never really a question of whether I want to be a musician, but because I grew up with classical music, I started violin earlier, but it was not my main instrument right away. I did piano I actually went to a boys' choir school, which is long ago.
in St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg, still, yeah. So New York was a perfect place to experiment and try every genre, every approach to music, and
Welcome.
so it was a way to open up my horizons and to see that there are many different ways to express yourself with violin. So finally, after this journey, I came back to my love for real serious classical music, so really Shostakovich and stuff, but with the approach maybe of a more open-minded approach, a bit lighter, just being able to express myself more sincerely. And so now I'm here and looking forward to playing with Eliot tonight, and hoping to share all of these different beautiful instruments that I brought. I thought it would be a great opportunity in Braga to let people, to bring the shop to them. I don't have a shop, but to let people try, to kind of join me on my journey, because I've been for the last 10, 15 years. It started with me searching for my own bow, and I realized that I have no idea where to look or how to try things or what to do. And so it's been a long journey of traveling to all the major sort of musical centers and trying thousands and thousands of different instruments and asking many questions, and finally, building a collection which I'm proud of and which is always evolving.
Thank you, Lev. Well, finally, my dear colleague at the University of Minho, we are colleagues there, and professor of double bass, Nuno Arrais. Nuno, please tell more about yourself.
So I don't have a dream orchestra path like overseas, like our friends here, but I think I live my dream life as a music teacher, and I started playing piano at 7, but then at 16 I started double bass, and then find a wonderful teacher that was Alexandre Samajev, that passed away last year, several months ago in July. That made me love the instrument, and most of all, I've learned a lot about teaching the instrument. And then I had luck. I am very lucky to add the circumstances to teach in several schools. I started teaching at professional schools. I see some people from that age, and then I went to other kinds of school academies. Now I teach at the Conservatório de Braga and at the university also. So my main interest is teaching the instrument. So my goal is to put kids in front of this possibility of playing well the instrument. So I'm very happy with this.
Playing well in front of an audience, because
Yes.
we, some people might forget, even musicians might forget, that we practice hours and hours to play for some people, and that's always very important, I think. I'm so sorry, but
Also, I may say that I have a master's degree in psychology of music, and I do some research in CESAM, in Universidade Nova de Lisboa, mainly about connecting people, developing human through music. So that's my main subject, and I'm very interested in the relationships in classes, music instrument classes. So that's my field.
I wanted to say I'm very sorry to hear about your beloved teacher that passed away a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that because I'm very interested in knowing the connection between you or your teacher. Francisco also said Yuzuko Horigome, and then your teacher Irena Sofia, also Anna Chumachenko, were very important for you. And we'll get now to the theme. And actually, Nuno, you already talked about the theme, but I'd like briefly to introduce your moderator for today. I'm Eliot Lawson. I'm a violinist, violin professor at the University of Minho and Amsterdam Conservatory. Well, I'm not going to tell much more because it's not about me, it's about you guys. And let us go now to the theme of today, and which is, like Nuno already told, connecting people. And when I received this subject of ESTA, because they had this beautiful idea, then I said, yeah, connecting people. For me, it's very logic. I play violin to, to create a connection with my public, but also my chamber music partners. We'll see tonight if it works. But also with students when I teach. So there's a lot of connection going on, but also generally, music can bring so much. Let's not forget about the philosopher Nietzsche, who said, a life without music would be an error. I like this phrase a lot. And but I'd like to go into a special way of connecting people. We live now in an era of technological advancements and hyperconnectivity where information and communication are always available. You know what I mean? YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, TikTok, maybe there are some that I don't know, and also WhatsApp and Snapchat. And I was thinking, do human relationships follow this progress? And is this in fact progress? What do you think about the current needs versus what is happening in the digital, but also in the music world? Lev, would you like to give your thoughts on this very complicated question? But
do you want me to paraphrase what you just said? No, I'm not going to even try. No, but yeah, it's a good question. I feel like it has many sides from it. So first, of course, I can give my opinion on whether I feel with this all the social media we are better off. I'm not sure. I have kids, small kids, and teenagers also, and to see them spend a lot of time on the screen, that is always the easiest thing to choose for, and it makes me appreciate how we spent our time as kids, that our parents would lose track of us because we were outside playing, or maybe even video games, but in a way that usually we would be next to each other and interacting. So of course it is progress in the sense that now we are able to keep in close contact with people on the other side of the world. So in a way we can find our ancestors, keep in touch with our old teachers and our old friends and colleagues. And because the musical world is so small, we all speak the same language. So in fact, we can travel to any part of the world and make music together. And, to make those connections, social media is wonderful. But it's really the live experience, which I feel that's where we can make the most difference. So I don't know. In the case of performing music, I don't want to veer off too far from your question, but I think if we remember to use social media more as a tool, which I'm quite behind on, and my kids make fun of me sometimes. Even though I used to make websites and stuff, so I felt like, oh, I'm very good with this, but I when Instagram started, I think I sort of got behind. I think it's become an essential tool now, and I mean, I'm noticing also that Sinfonietta Braga and with the Arcada Festival, your main tool to promote the festival was Facebook, I guess, and Instagram. I mean, posting about the events and seeing how many people reacted and things like this. In reality, how do we know how much of that visibility translates into physical contact, physical presence of an audience at the concert? It maybe does, but I don't know so much about it. But for me, it's very important to be able to connect with my audience in person when I'm there, and to connect with colleagues, you know, playing music. So sort of shutting off all the devices, shutting off all the other influences, and being able to join in the musical, which is therefore also an emotional moment together.
Okay. So let me paraphrase it. We're going to use the technological advancements that we have to create contacts on the web, virtual contacts, but let's use it to come together and play music together for a real public. Is this a little bit what you wanted to say?
Of course, that, you know, during the lockdowns and pandemic, we could see how we could collaborate digitally. I mean, this is an absolutely valuable tool, but maybe I'm giving preference to the live experience.
I remember, but that was before the pandemic. I was in Hong Kong for a concert. And the next, I think the 2 days after, I had a concert with my sister in Carnegie Hall in New York. And it was my debut there, so I really wanted to play well. But I knew that I was going to arrive from Hong Kong really, really, really tired, because it's basically the other side of the world, Hong Kong, New York. So then I had this brilliant idea that I was going to rehearse with my sister through Zoom or Skype. I mean, we tried them all, but this absolutely did not work. So I guess, you know, if technology, you know, if internet could be even faster, I think that would be maybe a solution for maybe a first rehearsal between musicians to be able to play together, you know, without having to fly somewhere, because let's not forget about the environment. So I do think there are some really good things about it, but like you said, Lev, we need to get to know it and use them correctly, because the sky is the limit. And unfortunately, there's a lot of bad stuff also going on, and it's sometimes very difficult to control. Francisco, Nuno, would you like to talk also a little bit about what you feel?
Well,
Sure.
my experience with that was on the pandemic, the COVID-19, and we had to give classes on the internet, and that was a very hard time for the kids and for us. Not just because of the problems with the technology that was not good enough, but also because I felt that I couldn't help the kids. They were afraid at home because of all this pandemic thing. Some of them were alone, and not even to connect with them like I did at school, the technology was helping too much. So I believe there is a very big problem of communication, yet we have fantastic technology. So, and now that I can give classes one-to-one in the room, I now feel very happy to do that, because for at the beginning I was thinking, well, this is going to be good. I stay at home, relax, but then everything was really bad. So for me, the experience is just wake me up to the idea that if music, as you said in the beginning, we don't even need more scientific evidences to know that music is part of what we are as humankind. Yes, it's totally important. Music and art and all that. It's a way of expression of the human being. And that's where communication is important. And when we have a technology that can't help us enough, we have to put that a little bit away and give the personal contact a chance to work on exactly.
So I think, Nuno, what I understand also is that you need discipline to use technology.
Yeah.
Not only to practice, but also to
recordings. It's okay to in tune. Some tools are fantastic. I really use that, but the human connection works very well in the classroom, and that's very important to keep it like that.
Nuno, I must confess also that during the first lockdown, actually, I was very happy. Look, it was the first time since a long time ago that I basically had nothing to do. I could stay home. It was wonderful weather at that time, and I was in a city where you could still go out and go to parks and enjoy family time. And so this was a very special time, and it reminded me personally, that Sundays, the weekly rest day, the weekly day of God, is actually important, and we should go back to these kind of rest days. But okay, something else. So during the second lockdown, I understood that I had to work, there was nothing to do, so I started teaching online, and I realized that actually teaching online is very tiring, because you're like all the time with full concentration, trying to listen to everything. It is possible, but it's not as natural as in a room together. And teaching 7 hours in a row online, or teaching 7 hours in a room with the students, is a completely different ballgame. In my experience, in a room with the students, you come home with energy. Well, it depends on the student, actually. But online, you're totally drained. So I understood that teaching online all the time is really, really bad for the teacher. But now, sometimes, I do lessons online, depending on the situation where the student cannot come because something happened at home and they don't have transportation, or the train has problems. We had this in Portugal several months in a row. And I do think once in a while, teaching online is not bad, even for the students, because it's a different way of playing. When you play the violin, you can play in front of an audience. You can play in your room for no one. You can play for your grandmother. You can play for friends. You can play for a mic. When you record, you play for a mic. You play for a video camera, and then you play for your teacher, or you play for your teacher online. So it's always a bit different. And I would say, it's very difficult to explain what is different, but your body reacts. And I guess, the only way to master all these different situations is to have experience, to do it a lot. And that's why sometimes I still do teach online, because I think it's a bit different, and sometimes it can wake up students and the teacher.
Can I add something? With the youngest kids, I have the students 7 years old, so they are very young. That doesn't work so well. With the university students, it's much better, but the younger students, it's really hard. On the other hand, what I would like to add to this idea is that teaching an instrument is like having the possibility of connecting with ourselves. The students in the classroom is connecting with himself, with how I am, how I organize my fingers, how I think. When they have the iPhone, they are disconnecting from themselves. So learning an instrument, learning in the classroom, even for me as a teacher, is a moment of connecting with myself before, and then I connect with the others, communicating my music and all. But the first part of this process is connecting to ourselves, being the moment, playing an instrument, is the way of understand that reality is not what is happening in the internet. I think in that way, music is a good way of kids understand this separation of the world.
Francisco, what to
Yeah,
add?
I wanted to just continue the subject because I think we as musicians, teachers, and related to music, we are all very privileged in the situation of the dangerous advance of the technology, because music is from the old ages. Music is communication, and it's a direct communication of emotions, of things from the deepest part of the heart. So it's something always live connecting of people. So in this aspect, or when we play a chamber music concert, when we play together in the orchestra, we are always together physically. Even if with technology we listen to a CD of Jascha Heifetz and you feel his emotions straight away. So music is it's a very direct way of communication, and in this aspect, we as musicians, and I think the children that study music are very privileged, and I think music in the studies is very important, more and more, especially nowadays with this danger of too much information available and getting too spread, and suddenly the children get with difficulty to find a specific area where they are interested or where they can focus, because it's just too many things at the same time with this scrolling thing. Well, I'm not actually the best person to speak about the advance.
Controlling.
No, because I barely use Facebook and I don't have Instagram, so I use my free time. I go
That's
to
why
the
you are so.
I go to the mountain, and I like to enjoy nature and spend the few time possible. And I was still yesterday speaking with my wife that it would be nice still to use these phones, that you can only call. But then I think it's hard because you have everything there nowadays. It's impossible. You are emailing. But just also to get back to the discipline, I think it's progress. Of course, it's progress. In learning is progress. You having so much information available nowadays, it's fantastic to one who is studying all matters, economic, music. For example, in our case, you practice a new concerto and you have a recording straight away, or you learn some symphony to lead in the orchestra and you have dozens of recordings, which 200 years ago was very difficult, or the music was just new and it was more difficult to learn it faster. But on the other aspect, I think the biggest problem is for the people that were born now, 20 years ago, because the people that grew having books and being grown in other way, the technology will be always very useful, but will be easier to use it with discipline, because it's a matter of use. But for the children now is I think the biggest danger of wasting time, of being difficult to focus, and I think in this matter music can be a huge help, because it's really improves everything in the youth process of concentration of.
I wanted to connect to your thought because I heard that actually Portugal is doing very well with introducing music to more students now. That I guess I don't know how long it's been going on, but that the amount of music schools really multiplied because there's now funding for kind of until college level or what until 18 that you have music and other subjects, but on a higher level with
And different kinds
more
of
hours.
schools. You have the professional schools, you have the conservatory, and then inside conservatory you have several kinds of ways of uh, going studying music. So there's also like 20 or 30 years ago started a big movement where we now I see some of the students that were students when I started to teach, and now they are teaching, and so schools start to happen because open to because there are more teachers.
More teachers also, yeah.
Also.
But I think this is a very different trend in Portugal than in the rest of Europe, where they take music out of schools. They think it's not important to even have 1 hour of music per week. Well, where it keeps being proven over and over again that this is the way to become better also at other subjects open your mind, and
Even have discipline for other.
and
When
discipline,
you
yeah.
become a mathematician, or
Absolutely.
the music helps way much, because without this discipline you cannot do anything.
I must say, it makes me think about my childhood. In primary school, I was absolutely a very bad student. I didn't really like to go to school, and I would do nothing. And I always barely passed all the years. And even when I started playing the violin, didn't get really much better. But then I had, for the first time in my life, when I was 11, 12 years, I had a very good teacher. And right away, that was really crazy. Right away, after 3 months having lessons with this old man, he was a Bulgarian, Lawson. I like to talk about him because he's an important person in my life. And he basically, after 3 months, I was the best student at school, at normal school. So, and it went super fast. So I think knowing this, because I teach here in Portugal, the evolution of the last, I would say, 15 years is incredible, incredible. There's, I would say there are more young violinists in Portugal than Belgium, Holland, and Luxembourg together. Count Luxembourg doesn't count because it's so small, but it's wonderful because and most of them, they don't start violin because they really want to, and they always think, okay, this is a hobby, it's a good hobby, I would say, but many of them, they really like it and they want to become a violinist, and that's wonderful.
Basically having the chance to try
Absolutely.
it is key.
Yeah.
That you have the opportunity.
I remember when I started, I knew everybody that plays double bass in Portugal. And last year I did, I don't know, 5 or 6 master classes around the country, and everywhere I went there was like 30 double bass players
Wow.
from this year. So,
Wow.
how many? And it's completely different panorama now. It's much better.
Yeah. And do you think that the digital world, okay, we know that the schools, more schools, more teachers, more good teachers helped, Do you think that the digital technology helped also encourage young people to go and say, okay, I want to play the violin, or I want to play the double bass or the cello,
Well, I think the beauty of playing an instrument is doing some analogical thing, not the digital. The digital is a tool. You can watch some YouTube things and all that, but the doing something with your hands and results in a beautiful thing, and playing for your parents or whatever. It's the beauty of this practice.
But do you think it could also be kids, when they start an instrument, that they easily have access to so many recordings or videos of great people for inspiration,
That's fantastic.
that even if you're in a place that doesn't have a lot of access to concerts, or
That's a good thing. Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, because I do think, you talked about Jascha Heifetz. There's like Jascha Heifetz was a great violinist, and he even played his roles in movies.
Oh yeah.
And there's this movie where, he comes on stage and he starts Rondo Capriccioso, and there's just two little boys who are, who stole some tickets, some bad boys, let's say, and they come and sit and they say, what's going to happen? Oh, what is this? This is boring. And then Jascha Heifetz starts to play, and then this little boy looks at it and like, oh, I want to play like
Starts
this.
to cry.
So it makes me think a little bit of this. So I think I would say, argue that the digital world can can inspire people to
There is a
start.
lot of content. It's important. 30 years ago, I was studying in Lisbon. I had a friend studying in America with Gary Carr, that was a great virtuoso. And in Lisbon, there was no CD to buy. And I wrote a letter, no emails, a letter, sent it to United States. And 3 or 4 months after that, I received at home a CD. So it's quite different. Now we have that information in 1 second. So it's fantastic. But the main thing is to do something with your hands in the moment. I believe you have to bring kids to this idea. That's the most
Then a
important.
very quick question. I was wondering, in Gulbenkian Orchestra, Francisco, do people play with an iPad?
Very few colleagues.
Okay. You don't.
Yeah, no, I don't. I start now to save material with bowings in iPad because it's more practical for the next time you do the same symphony,
And to share with others.
and to share with the others. It's about being practical. But personally, for example, many times I play concertmaster and second concertmaster, and I used to come some colleague to be concertmaster. He always played with the iPad, and I didn't like it. For example, it's too small, it's too shiny.
Did you have to,
I get
to
got
turn
always-
pages with the pedal?
Yeah.
You have to do it then?
No, he. It was in the beginning, and okay, no problem. But actually, defending now a little bit the social media. For example, in Gulbenkian, I think they did a great work in terms of advertisement and making the orchestra even more popular and even more known everywhere with the page, with the videos, and the proof now is that we are almost always full. I remember when I was 10, 15, I used to go there, and we could always enter in the last moment. We could always find a ticket, and now we have almost every concert. Yesterday we played the concert and it was sold out for 3 weeks. This is a little bit. Also, I think they did a good job in doing some a little different programs. Like now, it's becoming famous to play with movies, making the and this it's maybe for us musicians is not pleasant at all. It feels
You can't really watch the movie while playing. That's right.
no, and also feels always like being chased after the train because the conductor is always trying to find the movie, and then we have to react, and it's everything a little bit late and a little bit stressed, and there is no really the feeling of you trying to communicate an emotion. It's just trying to be precise. But the effect is great, and it brings a lot of young people which maybe wouldn't go to listen a Beethoven symphony or a Brahms requiem and and they come and they think, oh, maybe it's nice to come to classical music. And next season, maybe they go to see a Mozart symphony, or they go, and the public is renewing a little bit. And this is not merit of the social media, merit of the people that thought
That
to use it. But it has been very useful to sell tickets and to make the audience happy also.
I personally think that public, it's always full at Gulbenkian, that it's actually, they come and see you, Francisco.
Not at all, not at all.
Another benefit I'm thinking about is that it's easier to connect with colleagues all over the world. It happened here a lot. Like we see a video of a guy playing very well, fantastic, and I just email him and say, "Do you want to come to University Domingo for a master class?" And they come, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, we are
Actually,
all close.
Yeah, I wanted to go in the next section of this round table, and it's actually talking about that. So, as integral parts of the music world, what aspects do you highlight regarding the difficulty of communication with various stakeholders? Stakeholders meaning parents, colleagues, students, promoters. What do you value in the interaction and communication with them? Nuno, look, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this subject. You're a professor in several schools. You need to communicate with students, colleagues, but also parents of the students. Anything you want to share?
Yeah, the stakeholders is the ecosystem, yeah, and sometimes the ecosystem is too noisy. Too much information. It's not an internet problem. It's a society problem. Society, sorry, problem. Too many people, parents come with some ideas, another without ideas about music, and we have to deal with that. But in the end, I believe. People are more well informed about what is going on. That's because also the ecosystem of music schools is very big now. So they come because the family kids already went there last year, and so they connect with each other. So that's. I think it's easier now to speak with parents. Sometimes they don't understand the needs for studying, the time they need to study instrument. It's hard to explain because there is too much data, the information around. And they have to study for mathematics, for this and that and that. And in the end of the day, they go study instruments. That's a problem of time and space also, because some schools have places for students to study there during the day. That's good. But most of them, they don't have. And in the end of the day, they have to do homeworks of several themes. And also they have to study. By the end of the day, at 10 o'clock in the morning, in the afternoon, sometimes they have to study instrument that they don't have. So we have, I think we have too much data, too much information, too much content to study.
Do you think that
schools will have to rethink this? Mm-hmm. Too much content. And then sometimes they don't understand that to study an instrument or mathematics, or they need time. Yeah. And that's the problem we face nowadays.
Do you think because of all this content in the digital world that parents who were not brought up with music, that don't play an instrument, because they watch all this content, that they have more ideas, maybe not always the best ideas about their son or daughter, and that they go to the teachers and they say, look, why don't you give this concerto of Paganini? I mean, it's he will be more motivated to play. Or
Yeah, that's one of one problem. The other problem is that parents want their kids to be very good at everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's very difficult. Or most of the times it's very difficult. So we should understand
It's not natural.
It's not natural. Even as in schools, we must understand that kids sometimes have to follow some kind of path to some kind of fields, like they are better for music, then they should go further on this. They are better for science, maybe you go for that. Open that possibility, because as a parent, I am parent also. I always feel a little bit sad when my daughter doesn't bring the highest grade at Portuguese, but she's good at mathematics. So, and also I live nearby the Porto football school, and I see every parent wants them to be the next Ronaldo. So in the music schools, more or less like this. They want it to be success. Success is the main thing that people want, and actually the music is not for that purpose. It's
But
not
do you-
success.
but do
Is
you-
a technique to communicate with. Others.
But do you think, because of the evolution of and the growth of music schools here in Portugal, tremendous growth, is that a reason that there's maybe more competitiveness in the parents, that they're pushing the children to be the best in everything?
I don't think it's not only the parents, is even me as a teacher. I want my students to be the best. That's it. And I don't like so much competitions, but I know the benefits of those, and I have some students that go there, and even some of them won prizes. So I know the benefits of that, but I believe the problem there is the ecosystem doesn't care about the ecosystem. And I don't know if you can. I'm explaining well. The ecosystem there is a bath. Is taking a bath of, oh, I'm very good, and my teacher is so good, and all that. And in the end, we need people at the orchestras that can play together, can be connected with each other. That they have to have the technique to express themselves, but they have to be connected. And sometimes this competition thing, I believe,
Destroys.
Yeah.
Francisco, I'd love you to continue this subject.
No, I was just thinking that this pursuit of fame, of having the main page of the Instagram,
Exactly.
can be a little bit caused by the social media and now how it works with the young generations, that people see and look and to be the best there and to have the image. And this was changed a little bit by Facebook, Instagram. Before 50 years ago, maybe the feeling of happiness was different. People were realized with more simple things, and then, I don't know, more romantic or less fame thing. And this can be a bit caused because of social media, how it influences especially the young generations. yeah, and it leads also to a bit of individuality, I think, and instead of feeling completely full, playing with the others, being happy in a group or in a family or whatever, and it leads a bit to individualism, especially. And also I would like, maybe I'm not a teacher, but I can imagine that sometimes can be difficult, because now as the information, or you were giving the example of Paganini, or the information about even how to play the violin is everywhere now. But it's very dangerous, because the learning, like with books or with an amazing pedagogue or with the teacher, it can never be replaced. And on the internet or in the social media, it will be always a more superficial, which can appear to be similar, but I think it will always be more superficial, and maybe in some cases can lead to parents thinking that they know better what to do with some specific teacher because they saw this video or that, or they saw this article or that, and sometimes can be dangerous.
About parents, I would like just to say one phrase. Sometimes they don't understand that they don't understand.
Exactly, because because can look somewhere that this is as
This is
simple
what you're
as that.
supposed to
This
do.
is as simple as that, and actually, on the deep part, it's not as simple. The process, some process, you have to pass through several stages, or which someone that doesn't pass just reads a little post on Instagram, doesn't have the knowledge because didn't do it with the hands, didn't pass through the difficulties, I think.
But Francisco, what about in your orchestra? I mean, you have an incredible job, incredibly important job, I would say, but incredibly difficult as well. Because as concertmaster, you're the bridge between the conductor and all the rest of the orchestra. And we're talking about connecting people with music, but you have a very specific role. And I can imagine it's not always easy to be, that everybody accepts. You're also very young. What about all your colleagues that have been there already for 20, 25 years? How to, because you need them to respect you.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about this situation? Because I can imagine it was basically your first job.
Yeah.
And then immediately a very important job. And then you have this situation. Are there maybe some anecdotes that you want to?
Yeah. Well,
without naming names, please.
No, this is a difficult question, but yeah, I think it's a important job, but I think as important as any other player in the orchestra. About the relation, especially with the group, sometimes with the conductor, but with the group, it's, well, I was learning. Yeah, when I entered, I'm maybe I was second or third youngest person in the orchestra, but I learned that it's all about, well, having the confidence that you are doing well, but on top of that, knowing how to speak to people, how to take people with you with the necessary respect, and admitting also to yourself that you arrived to some place where people have more experience, and that you perhaps bring some new talent or new vision of something, but you have to deal with what was there and adapt also a little bit. And then personal questions you have to deal and learn to deal out with specific people. And that it's,
Do you think you
this
need
is a very long subject. I don't know actually how to. In the end, if you put the music and what you want to say emotionally with the music, I think you will always be respected.
Yeah. So basically, you even in orchestras where you're obliged to talk,
Yeah.
which language?
There is always the
which
problem
language do you talk in Gulbenkian orchestra usually? It's Portuguese or
many times in Portuguese, but conductors many times in English.
yeah.
In English.
So-
but
so-
if I want to say something to the group, mostly I say in Portuguese.
So I guess sometimes you need to use words, but
Yeah.
what you're saying is the best way is just to
How to choose them is the difficult part.
to choose the words, but also just play the music.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you think that when you play with all your heart, that even without using words, that the people in your section or in the orchestra, they look at you and they feel it somehow. Maybe they don't hear you, but they feel it. They look at you, and they get into what you want, because you have an important role. Okay, the conductor decides, but if it's a bad conductor, it's you who decides. No?
Yeah, absolutely. I think to put all the honesty in what you do and to really do it 100%, and well, of course, also preparation is different than tutti. Many times I study the piece like a conductor, like the general score, and there is this and this place that I might need to help with some gesture,
And this is where I guess Spotify or YouTube helps with the music. That
Exactly,
okay,
exactly.
here
For
I have
example,
to look at the oboe.
here is super, because now you have access to great recordings like this, like immediately. You want to listen Berliner Philharmonic playing Brahms' Fourth Symphony, and it's 1 second, and this is a big advantage. For example, to do my job, it saves me a lot of time.
So you do have a computer at home.
Yes. Actually, I have one of these, an old computer. Now I use mostly this.
Well, I go back to our friend Lev. Do you want to add something about it? I was thinking, you have many beautiful instruments. I heard you have a beautiful Guadagnini. It's one of the top violins in this world, but also other Italian, French, and German violins. I also heard. It was wonderful yesterday to see you play first on the Guadagnini, and then on this €2,500 German violin, which was still quite old. I must say, of course, the Guad is more what I would be looking for. But I thought that this €2,500, which is, by the way, for old violins, very cheap, was really good, really good. So I was wondering, okay, we're connecting people with music, but music, we're talking about many things, and you are here with violins. I guess you go a lot to violin dealers, luthiers, violin shops, bow repair. It's maybe not immediately connecting people with music, but we need this material to produce music. So I wanted maybe to steer this conversation, if you're okay with it.
Sure.
Well, I was also listening to my colleagues and had some thoughts to react to. Maybe I will come back to it later. But I guess in general, I will say one little thing that I didn't want us to start sounding like we're romanticizing the time before social media or before internet, because yes, maybe it was a simpler time, but in a way, we do live with the tools that we have now, and so they will go forward. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess the idea is that we can also use social media. What do we call connecting to people? So let's say when we teach or when we play for an audience together with other people. So not only us musicians connecting to each other, but us connecting to an audience that we play for. And something like a film concert, when people who have never been to a classical music concert come to watch a movie and realize, all those sounds that make it come to life are actually made by all these great symphony orchestras or just musicians. And so, of course, maybe social media could be useful to remind people, those are the real moments. Like when, you show an audience reacting to a live concert, that they suddenly have an emotion that they've never experienced. They don't expect it, because most people don't know. You don't talk about it much. You don't talk about looking for a moment of sincerity or a moment of emotion or emotional connection. So when you go to a concert, usually you're talking about, I'm going to go listen to Mozart, or I'm going to go listen to a concert of a quartet, but not about looking for a moment, to look inside, like you said. That's really beautiful, or to make this connection. So maybe we should make that more sort of visible, that, in the vocabulary, in the posts, I don't know, in videos, that kind of popularize the idea that this is where you feel something real, and then not that social media is bad necessarily, and this is the real thing, but that you can have both, and then you can have more depth by being there in person, and then make little clips and memes about how people had to cry in a beautiful moment or something. I don't know. But what is really connecting back to the instruments here?
What's your connection with your luthier, for example?
Well, I find that one of the things that we don't learn enough as string players studying in a conservatory, I'm not talking about school, let's say conservatory, so later university level.
University.
The university.
Because here in Portugal,
Conservatory is before.
is
Yeah. Okay. So let's say university. We generally learn, we do get inspiration and we learn technique, but we generally learn to follow and, play things correctly. But also we learn very little, almost nothing about our instruments. So I know many, many colleagues who are very uncomfortable changing strings. And, I was myself, and it's such a basic thing, it's something you have to maybe do at least once a year, Of course, we all know that a bow needs to be rehaired regularly. Do we all make sure that we do it on time? Not really, because as a student, you're just concerned about learning your notes and, playing music, learning new things. And we don't really learn to take care of our instruments. And I find, saying take care of the instrument sounds really like maintenance or something, but really just to learn how they work. So how does the sound come? How can we make it better? How can we make them better tools? And what are we looking for as tools? And basically, this is one of the main reasons I'm here, also to show beautiful instruments and to show what's available, but to show how, how to get the best tools in your hands so that you can communicate. Because in a way, as string players, this is our voice. So whatever tools we have and putting them in the ultimate condition, finding a luthier that you trust, asking the questions, not being afraid to ask, I see something is funny with my bow, something doesn't sound right, not to feel immediately like, I will never be able to afford a great violin, so this is my sound that I'm stuck with. I have to fight. These strings don't feel good, but I have to fight through it. To really have some workshops, some lessons, what we did yesterday was interesting. To show people what are the possibilities, to make them feel more comfortable, to ask questions, and to look for help on sound, and making things easy.
I wanted to share an experience. I remember, I had always quite good violins as a student. I was lucky, because
lucky, definitely.
I am lucky. But I remember we went to New York together. We played the concert there, and then they gave us this Strat and Guarnerius. And I played with the Guarnerius, he played with the Stradivarius. And, you know, I was playing on a nice Italian violin, and I always had the feeling, like most of the time, that I was controlling the instrument. But then I got this Guarnerius, and I thought, okay, I'll do the same thing. That's what I always do, and I'm going to control the beast. And I just couldn't. It was impossible. And I realized, you know, okay, Eliot, this is a great instrument. And just by playing with it and just by being inspired by the sounds, I understood that with these great instruments, the violin actually should control you.
Not only control, but teach you. You can learn a lot from a great instrument.
Yeah. And when I see young students trying violins, you know, obviously every violin, every bow is unique. And I see very quickly, like, okay, that's what I'm used to. And most of the time, they like the violins that are very similar to theirs, or the bows, and that's not always a good idea. So you have to be really open-minded. And going back to luthiers, I can imagine that sometimes you stay for hours until the setup is completely right. You told me about, you know, the Guadagnini that was set up in Amsterdam, and then 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, you were in New York, and there another famous luthier worked on this instrument, and 1 millimeter with bridge and the sound post in Portuguese, alma. You know?
Yes, the soul.
More beautiful name. So all these little tweaks can help a musician connect with his colleagues, but also the public and his students. When I'm able to play with the guad for my students here in University of Minho, they rather prefer that I play with the guad than with the chess instruments. So, would you like to add something?
Just a small thing about string students and string players. I think we have too few relationships, maybe too uncomfortable relationships with luthiers or people who are specialists in instruments and in bows, that, you know, we should spend more time exploring what is it that will make our own instrument sound better, you know, and trying many good instruments to try to, you know, find out what fits your voice the best.
Yeah. And sometimes also having many people are not completely familiarized with the knowledge of how the string instrument works in the mechanics. And this has all the matter for how you produce your sound, for example, with whatever violin. Like, and to have just this is small thing, but it can be huge, and it can be a big problem for some people that practice so hard, but because they didn't understand that the sound is produced by passing the bow and making actually releasing the sound from the instruments instead of. So it's a little knowledge thing, but it's quite important. And it's not for luthiers; should be for all string players.
No, very quickly.
Yes, just in a young student level, sometimes what happens is that parents don't have much money, but sometimes the problem is not the money; is to take to a good luthier the instrument and it's working better, and it's enough to, and it's very important because it makes a big difference to play easier.
We have still 15 minutes, and I would love, you know.
I think I don't think so. I think
5 minutes or
2 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, 1 minute. 5 minutes then. Look, I love it here. I could continue this the whole day, but unfortunately, look, this is a very important question. How can music and its teachings contribute to strengthening human relationships? We are living now in a difficult period, and unfortunately, there are several wars affecting the lives of many people. Can music help to bring peace in our world? And do you feel and envision this effect? Are you involved in or aware of any projects with this goal that you would like to share? Or do you have maybe a dream of doing so? Whoever. But it has to be short.
No, I am aware of some projects very much related to the current conflict, the Israeli-Palestinian war. I know that there's been an orchestra founded many years ago, the West Eastern Divan Orchestra, that Daniel Barenboim did together with Mr. Said. And then that's a beautiful thing, to bring people together. Music is always a common language, so it absolutely transcends borders. And I know, for example, for me, another very relevant conflict that's still going on, that started last year, the Russia-Ukraine war. There have been many possibilities to play benefit concerts to help raise money for Ukraine.
But you played with you are Russian and you played with a Ukrainian.
That's true. That's funny. I almost forgot that I was part of a peace project myself this year. There were interviews, and the idea was to bring somebody, two people from opposing sides of a war. In this case, I was the Russian, and there was a Ukrainian accordionist and also artist, and it was, the idea was to keep the politics out of it, but to see what would come out of it. Could we make something beautiful together, and what do we learn from each other? And we had to answer some interview questions, and there was a small movie made, and basically...
And you played in Portugal.
That's true. The culmination of it was at a roof festival in Faro. We played in July. So first, it was initiated by kind of a roof network, so a rooftop festivals, and we started in Antwerp and ended up, because this was not a classical accordionist, this was somebody used to a very different style of playing, and we talked and basically got to know each other and tried to find a way in which we could communicate musically, because that was not obvious. He doesn't read music, or he could not follow sort of, we could not just like find some music duos for violin and accordion and perform them. It was not that. And then we had to get to know each other, and finally, also through performing together, especially the second time in Faro, it became a spontaneous concert outside of its peace project. So it led to something beautiful. But I find music is probably one of the very best tools or vehicles for peace, because we make, music does unite us. It is a universal language.
Francisco, Nuno, fair shot.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a universal language, and it's a language that connects people, like love. It's
Beautiful.
It's hard to have the real effect, because the decisions are higher than that, but it helps for sure.
Nuno.
First of all, what is happening here is very important, because it's how we connect this world of ours, and outside. And congratulations for Arcada Festival and the Sinfonietta. It's very beautiful to see young musicians, very talented, and colleagues. Joaquin is our colleague, and all that. And doing this kind of movement is a way of connecting people with music. Also, I would like to invite everybody to come to the 52nd conference, international conference of ESTA. The Portuguese branch is organizing in Porto in March. Please go to our website or to the Facebook of ESTA Portugal, and you will find everything. And it's the theme of the conference is connecting people. And it started with the idea because we started the idea at the same time that the war in Ukraine was starting. So what can we do? We can connect people and all from all over the world around this idea of teaching strings. So you are all invited to come, and we are happy to be there. And also we have, like Anna, we have there a very young and beautiful people working very hard to make it happen. It will be in Porto, and I think it will be fun.
We will conclude this roundtable, but we don't have any more time to ask that our public here, we're many here, they could have asked questions. So I would suggest just connect with us through Facebook. Thank you very much, and till next time.